Helen, thank you for this presentation. Could you define what is love?
Well, I think we've evolved three distinctly different brain systems for mating and reproduction. One is the sex drive. One is romantic love, that intense craving for a very particular person. And the third is attachment, that sense of calm and security you can feel for a long-term partner. And I think they evolved for different reasons. I think the sex drive evolved to get you out there looking for a whole range of partners. I think romantic love evolved to enable you to focus your mating energy on just one and start the mating process. And I think that attachment evolved so that you could tolerate this person at least long enough to raise your children together as a team. So we've got three brain systems for love.
So what happens is you put thousands of people in MRI scanners.
Well, not thousands. We put 32 people who were madly in love, and 17 were madly in love and their love was accepted. They were happily in love. And 15 were rejected in love. And we're starting our third experiment now, in which we're putting people who report that they're still in love after about 20 years of marriage. So it's our third experiment.
And how do you see love evolving?
Well, we're seeing more and more. I think we're going to come to understand that women are just as sexual as men. I think we're going to come to understand that men are just as romantic as women. And marriage has changed more in the last 100 years than it has in the last 5,000. We're moving towards what I call a peer marriage, or a symmetrical marriage, or a companionment marriage, a marriage between equals.
So there is more divorce rate? Is the divorce rate increasing, or is it going down?
I know that in America it's going down. It's now at 43%, down from 50%. You know, in cultures where women are economically powerful, the divorce rate tends to be quite high. So there's many forces that are likely to keep the divorce rate high, but there's some that are likely to make it low also. And that is the aging world population and later marriage. The later you marry, the more likely you are to stay married. But what we're really seeing is the kind of marriage that we had 1 million years ago, a marriage between equals.
You have insisted on sex drive and addiction.
Right.
Do you think we can fix adultery and cheating? Or should we fix it?
Oh, I'm not in the should business. It's very, it's very painful, adultery. Actually, oddly enough, adultery is going down, at least in the United States, and that's the reason is it's because you can now divorce. And when you can divorce a person rather than being adulterous, more and more people are inclined to solve their home relationship first and then go and find a new person rather than have somebody on the side.
You said people die more than love. I'm sorry. You said people die more from love than from cancer. Can you explain?
Well, it was somebody else who said that to me. It was a neuroscientist. You know, crimes of passion are around the world. I mean, we found evidence of romantic love in 170 societies. Everywhere you look, we have poems, songs, myths, legends, homicides, suicides. Crimes of passion are very common with romantic love. And so somebody at a conference said to me, he said, well, maybe more people die from crimes of passion than from cancer.
And you also said people shouldn't get too much medicine about depression, right? Because it kills the sex addiction. It kills the sex appeal. What does it kill?
This is really important. About 100 million prescriptions for antidepressants are written in the United States today, and a lot of them are written for these SSRIs, serotonin-enhancing antidepressants like Prozac, Paxil, Zoloft, and these are gone. A lot of them are now generic, so they're around the world. And when you take these drugs, you raise levels of serotonin. And as you raise levels of serotonin, you blunt the emotions, you kill obsessive thinking, and you suppress the dopamine system. And the dopamine system is associated with romantic love. And in fact, you also kill the sex drive, and when you're not having sex with somebody, you don't have the orgasm that gives you that rush of oxytocin and vasopressin and makes you feel attachment.
So it's hundreds of millions of people who are
certainly tens of millions of people are at risk. I'm not saying that people shouldn't take these drugs. What's going on is they're taking them long term after the depression is lifted. And they're wondering why 5 years later they haven't found a new partner. And it's in part because they're suppressing those brain systems.
You were talking about obsession. Why are you yourself, Helen, so obsessed about analyzing love?
That's a good question. Well, it's one of the most powerful systems on earth, you know. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, people live for love. They work for love, they sing about love, they write about love, they kill for love, and they die for love. It's one of the most powerful brain systems that we've evolved, and it's time that we understand it.
And you're trying to understand why we fall in love.
Yeah.
Have you understood why we fall in love?
Yes, I think I have. Now, my next issue is why do you pick one person rather than another? And I'm working actually with a dating site called chemistry.com, which is part of match.com, and 3.7 million people in America have taken my questionnaire, and my questionnaire is now gone. It's just about to go into 35 countries around the world, and I'll try and figure out, there's always magic to love, but if we can understand a little of this madness, I think it'll be...
I have a last one for you, Helen. Can you give us advice? You've researched so much, and you're talking as a scientist, but can you give us advice on the three key areas you've talked about sex drive? How do we improve this? Romantic love, how do we have better or more intense love? And how do we get more attached to somebody of those three? Or do you have, general advice? I'm just trying to get,
Well, these three brain systems work together, so very often. So if you have more sex with somebody, you're more likely to sustain that brain system for romantic love. And
so we should have more sex.
We're built to have sex.
We should have more sex
with the right person.
All right.
And I'm not.
So more sex drives attachment.
No.
So you should
they can all drive each other. But the one thing that I really would say is try to marry the person after some of that very intense early stage romantic love has worn off a little, so that you can see what you've got.
Thank you very much, Helen.
Thank you.
Thank you.